Hey guys, HardlyBriefDan here with the first episode of our September Game of the Month series, and I know it's been a few days, or quite a few days since I've made a video. Like I posted on Facebook and linked to it. Been real busy with work and took the weekend off, but I'm ready to go. We're a little bit behind for our September Game of the Month series, but that's okay. I have an idea, and I'm gonna tell you guys here in a few minutes. If we need to go over our month, hopefully we don't, but if we need to, we can go in a little bit of October. That's not a big deal. But basically, you guys have voted on a point-and-click adventure genre, which I'm pretty surprised by. Definitely did not think that would be the winner, but it definitely was. So, driving around, doing some at work and stuff, I came up with an idea, and I think it'll be fun. It's gonna be a challenge to get done in the time, but again, I think it'll be fun, and we can learn a lot doing it. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce you guys to the game of the month, and it's going to be called Detective Dave, the bank robbery. So it's the September game of the month. Again, this document is on the Google Drive. It will be available to you all to look at and kind of get an idea where we're going to be going and what we're going to be doing. To start things off, like we did last time, the software that we're going to be using this time around is Unity 4.6 Beta. So sorry if you guys don't have that. I provided a download link here in the game document, and then here is also what the page will look like. It's Unity Beta. We're using Unity 4.6 beta because of the new GUI. I want to use the new GUI. I think it's good for all of us to learn it. If you want to, you don't have to, but I think it'd be good for all of us to learn it, and it's going to be making our game a lot easier with all the buttons and stuff we're going to be pressing for the point-and-click adventure. So I would like to use the Unity 4.6 GUI or the Unity 4.6 Beta engine because of the new GUI. So you're going to need that. Download that. Also, Inkscape, I'm going to be doing all the artwork in. MonoDevelop comes with Unity, and the internet browser, I'm using Chrome, and that's so that we can download some more assets. Hopefully we can use more assets than we did last time. And I put Blender down again. We probably won't use Blender, but it's there just in case. But basically, I'll go ahead and kind of describe to you guys what I want to do for September and kind of what we're aiming for. So you're going to be playing as Detective Dave, and I'll show you real quick what I've been working on for Detective Dave. This is Detective Dave so far. He's not totally finished. As you see, he doesn't have arms or anything, but I made his face, and I kind of like it. It's super simple. It's not too terrible, but it could be a lot better. So this is Detective Dave. This is who you play. And what's going to happen is you, Detective Dave, are presented with a case. And this is going to be the first choice that you get to make. And it's going to be either you accept the case or you don't accept the case. So we're going to learn we're going to look at how we can alter a game based on certain choices the player makes. It's not going to be super in-depth with that, but we'll touch base on it a little bit. So basically, you accept the case or you don't. If you take the case, you're going to have a day counter, basically, and your goal is to solve the case as best you can in the least amount of days, okay? So basically, I decided to make a point-and-click adventure, or we decided, and I kind of thought, what is the point of the point-and-click adventure? Is there any mechanic we need to, life mechanic or something like that? And so basically, I came up with the idea that we'll use action points, and you have a certain amount of action points that you can use a day, and when you use up all those action points, the day ends and your day counter increases. So ultimately, you use the least amount of action points to find all the information you need to figure out who the robber was or who the team was, whatever, that robbed the bank, and then at the end, you say, when you're ready, when you think you have everything you need, you click solve, and basically judgment happens, and a judge will go through your items that you deem are enough. What can we call it? That you deem is enough evidence, and then you can choose the suspects you think, suspect or suspects that you think are the actual robber. So basically, we start at the police department. You're in your office. You're presented with this case. In this case file, you decide where you want to go, or if you even want to go. And then there's also going to be a solve button. When you click solve, that means you get to choose a certain amount of evidence you want to present to the case, and then you get to pick who you think might be the robber. When you click solve, there's no turning back. The game ends, and it'll present you with the score. You don't have to get the person right, and we're not going to tell the player if they got the person right, but your score will be variable depending on that. We'll keep going. There's a few things that I want to focus on with this kind of game, and basically it's going to be trying to create a database, an XML database with all of our text that we can organize easily and then kind of import at the beginning on one big load. We're going to create the game day mechanic, which is pretty simple, and it's going to allow us to calculate a score at the end. And then again, we're using Unity 4.6 because we want to learn how to use the new GUI system, because I think it's going to be a lot of fun to use and a lot more simple and faster. So there's some main objectives I've listed here. We got to create our player Dave, which I've already started in the witnesses here. I'll go further into that. We want to create an XML database, which is to keep our game text. The game mechanic, I would like to randomize the clues and kind of where they spawn. We might or might not do that or get to that. This is kind of a reach goal. And then the judging system, where when you finish the case, this is going to be pretty simple, but again, we want to make sure that we can judge at the end of like when you click solve. So now I'm going to go ahead and kind of go through the gameplay and some of the mechanics behind that. This is still in progress, this game document, but this is what I've come up with so far. Feel free to leave in the comments kind of what you think. You hate, maybe you like, you think is a good idea. Just give me your opinion. But we'll go ahead with the game days. I said Dave will have a certain amount of action points. Like I said before, I was thinking maybe like 8 or so. Still not sure. And each point takes part of the day away. And points are spent by like traveling to the bank, talking with certain individuals, and picking up clues, maybe like per click. And again, that can change. But that's my idea. And then the goal, again, I say, is to solve the case as best you can in the least amount of days. So basically, like I said, we have 8 action points. It can be changed. We can call them something else. 8 for now. And then at the end of it, you call it a day. And these are just kind of the things. You're investigating objects, traveling to locations, interrogating individuals. These will all take an action point. So we can fine-tune that when we get there. There's investigate. So the main part of the game is the investigation, obviously. And basically what I thought is there's a couple things. You can review the case files, which will determine, based on what we add in there, we'll let the player pick and choose what they think is evidence. And then be a few things you can click that will add it to your evidence inventory, if you will. You could travel to the bank to investigate, and you can interrogate the few witnesses that are at the bank, and then you can look at some objects in the game. So basically, the idea is we're going to create a beautiful piece of artwork in Inkscape. It won't be that beautiful, but it'll be a piece of artwork in Inkscape. Some of the objects that we create in Inkscape, let's say a gun on the floor, will be able to be looked at, and you can choose to use that for evidence. So that's the idea. We're not going to, since it's supposed to be a simple game, we're not going to get super in depth with investigating objects or anything crazy. I don't know if you've ever played LA Noire. We're not going to do anything like that because we're keeping it simple. So interrogation, I've decided to have 4 witnesses and 4 suspects, and there is some overlap. So I said basically the bank teller, her name is Sally. Again, these can change, but right now her name is Sally. She's a suspect, or she's the person where the money's taken from. She's behind the counter. The suspect comes up to Sally and says, "Hey, give me the money," and she gives the money away. There's Tim and Rob, who are just people at the bank. And then the bank manager says Jessica. She manages the bank. The suspects is Sally, Jessica, Tim, and Fred. Fred's just another guy. Sally's close friend, it says here. And Tim is, again, an ex-criminal. he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, maybe. Jessica, the bank manager, and then Sally again. These are all the people that we might suspect. Let's see. You can ask. I'm thinking about doing this. Hopefully, we can add it where you ask questions and it reveals more answers. That basically you can store evidence as kind of like an item. Evidence will be the item into your bag or your evidence case file. At any time, you can choose to solve the case. When you solve the case, it's a final thing. You can't go back, right? So you're going to solve the case. You choose 3 pieces of evidence that you have, and then you can choose up to 1 or 2 suspects. And then once you click solve, it will load into the judging program, and basically the judging algorithm that we create will give you a score and tell you how close you were, I guess. Again, looking for evidence, you can look around the bank, you can look on the floor, you can maybe look in the vault, you can look at the counter. That kind of depends on where the case goes. I will describe to you kind of my idea for the case. This is like a spoiler, but you're going to have to know how the game ends if you want to create the game. So this might not be as much fun playing it, but maybe your friends playing it might be more fun for them. You know, this is your first game, maybe, and you want to finish something so you can show them, say, hey, I finished this game, try to play it, see if you can figure out who it is. So basically the idea, right here I go over kind of more in depth with how we're going to solve the case, and this is the case and the perfect score, okay? This is kind of just the story of what the story I came up with, and basically if you want the perfect score, this is what you have to do. So, bank robber comes into a local bank, points a weapon at the teller, and demands money. The teller, Sally, gives the robber money and activates a panic button. The manager, Jessica, is seeing this over the cameras and also calls the police. And as they get there, the robber makes out of the bank, and you are left to figure out who it is. So, that's like the general thing. That's what happened. And by looking at objects and looking and talking to people, you find out that Jessica and Fred, you find out Fred is a close friend of Sally's, but then you also find out, if you keep asking questions, that Jessica and Fred have been together, and they just wanted to find someone, Sally in this case, to be a pawn in their game to use to rob a bank. So basically, the actual robber is Fred, but Fred is working with Jessica, and those two stole the money to use for themselves. So that's the idea. So tell me if you hate it. Tell me if you like it. Give me your opinions and your ideas, and we can kind of go from there. But that's the basic idea I have for that. I guess that's about it. Hopefully there aren't any more questions, but basically, again, we're using Unity 4.6 because I want to use the new GUI. It's going to be a 2D game. We're not doing 3D this time. It's still a 2D game. We're using Inkscape to do the artwork. And here's, again, the webpage for Unity. The game design document is on the Google Drive. You can go ahead and download that or look at it. This is what you'll see. I'm going to be adding more to it when I get a chance. I'll go ahead and add the artwork when we get to it. But since obviously Detective Dave is not done yet, we won't be able to have it. But now that we're in Unity, we'll go ahead and start setting up the project. We're not gonna get super into anything today. This is kind of just introducing the game, and then we'll do a little bit of code, probably setting up the menu or the game state manager. So again, I'm in a brand new Unity project. This is Unity 4.6, and you can check by going to game object. You'll see that this is a little bit different. You have this UI function here that we'll be using to create our GUI. It's an empty project here. I have some animation stuff. Windows open there. I'm going to go ahead and just drag our game down there. So we have our scene view. It's 2D, and our game view. I am set up for I believe, a PC Mac Linux standalone. That's what we're going to be building this for. We're not going to be doing Android or anything. But basically, this is, like I said, brand new project. I titled it September Game of the Month Detective Dave. So we're going to go ahead and create a couple folders. The first one's going to be a scene folder. Kind of the same that we did, for all the other projects we have. Scripts. And let's see, scripts, audio. Guess we'll create another one, call it prefabs. A lot of this game is going to be GUI based, so we're probably going to not have tons of prefabs or anything, but most of our gameplay is going to be script based. It's going to be derived from a script. It's not going to be you kind of making your own gameplay. It's going to be very scripted, and that's because it's a point-and-click adventure, and I'm not too sure how to randomize all that without going crazy with algorithms and stuff. And like I said, we're going to keep it simple. If you haven't, by the way, if you haven't joined me, if you didn't join us for August Game of the Month, we did finish the Game of the Month. It was a simple game, and this is the continuation of that. I'm going to keep this series, though, simple and made for new people to Unity, or old people, more veteran Unity users as well, but it's targeted for new users and people that want to finish a project. Just to update you on that, or just to remind you guys. But basically, we got some folders going, and I guess we'll go ahead and this is going to be our first scene. I'll go ahead and save it. Well, we'll leave it now. But what we're going to go ahead and do is add a UI, and we're going to actually add a canvas. Now, you see this big white box here. It's going to be huge. This is our canvas, okay? And this canvas is where all the GUI items take place. And if you've seen my Unity 4.6 GUI Part 1, the More You Know video, I kind of discuss what the canvas does, or I talk about it. But basically the canvas is just like you would think of a canvas as when you're painting. We're going to be painting or adding images to this canvas that are going to be used as buttons, a scroll bar, all these little things. Basically all the UI is going to be here in our canvas in this big white box. And what we can do is add things to the or when we add a button, we can anchor it down. So when your screen resolution changes, then the GUI will change. So if you remember, if you haven't seen, in August Game of the Month, we created this GUI where I used just straight pixel values for a 1080, a 1920 by 1080p screen. Well, this way, with this new GUI canvas that we're going to be using in Unity 4.6 beta, it allows you to anchor things down and allows the resolution to change, and therefore our point-and-click adventure can change depending on the screen resolution. It will work on various sizes. So what we're going to be doing is attaching several things to this canvas. The first thing we're going to be attaching, once I get it done, will be a background image. So we're going to have a background image that will shrink and grow depending on the screen size, and then we're going to add. That's where on this canvas we're going to be adding all of our buttons for objects you find in the game world, evidence, talking to people. This is where this is all going to take place, which is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be really cool to do. But we'll go ahead and work on our main menu scene. We'll go ahead and create a new C# script, and we're going to call it main menu GUI. This is kind of how we started out last time. It's simple, kind of get us warmed up to work on some stuff. Basically, though, what we want to do for the main menu GUI is, I guess we're going to have a start button, a continue button, and probably be it. So actually, we don't need the main menu GUI. Well, we are, but we're going to go ahead and add a couple public variables. It's going to be, or functions, excuse me, public void, and we're going to go ahead and do on play button. And then this will probably, and then we'll go ahead and do public void on. Actually, we're going to go ahead and say on new game. So on new game, and then the other one will be on continue button. And you'll see what we're going to be doing with these scripts in a minute. But basically, we're going to go ahead and these are going to be an application load. So we are going to load the proper scene from this function, and then. This is basically the same thing. We are going to load the proper scene from this function. So what I'm saying is we're going to go ahead and add a button to the canvas here in a minute, and we're going to call this function. Actually, we're going to say, hey, when you click this button in this canvas, we want to run this function. A couple things that's going to happen here. If we start a new game, we're going to go ahead and delete all saved data. That's one thing we need to do in here, and we're going to say load proper scene from function. From this function, which is what we're going to do, and we're going to say start game over, game completely over, and then we're going to say start. This is just so that we can come back and comment and work on it later. Start game from where player left off. So if you haven't guessed, since we have a continue button, we're going to also talk about saving a state, and that's going to be, basically we're going to be saving an inventory of evidence, we're going to call it, and then basically whatever scene the player's in, that's what we'll save that data to. So I'm going to go ahead and Control S and save that. Going to jump into Unity, and I'm going to show you guys how to make a button. So when you, in Unity 4.6, when you click on the canvas, you can go ahead and do Game Object UI, and you can add a panel, button, text, all these things. So we're going to go ahead and add a button, and you see it added this button here. Right here, you can see it moving around in our game scene, and I'm going to go ahead and drag this up to, actually we'll drag it to about right here. I'm going to go ahead and, you see this little, in this rect transform, this is a new type of transform. You can go ahead and click this, and you can set where you want to anchor it to. So I'm going to actually go ahead and anchor this to the left. I guess actually the center works. And we can go ahead and see. You can see how it works. So it's right now we anchored it towards the center. So no matter how tiny I make this, it's going to stay in the center, which is what we want. Let's see. I'm going to make sure that this is reset to. I'm going to go ahead and reset all this. Okay. So basically what I did is the position X and Y are the coordinates within the canvas. So I've set it at the origin. I'm going to go ahead and Control D to duplicate this button, and I'm going to push it down. So in here we have our two buttons in the game scene. You can see them in the scene view up here. Let's see. We're going to go ahead and rename these. So we're going to call this button the new game button. New game. And then this button will be the... Actually, let's keep button on it. We'll go ahead and do continue. We don't want the slash in there. Go ahead and continue, and then we're going to add button at the end of this just to so we know what it is. So what's cool with these buttons is they have several different components to them. These are all called components here on the side. You have a rect transform component, an image component, a button component, and you can add several different components to these. It just doesn't have to be this one button. You can actually add animations to the buttons so they bounce up and down or grow. It's really up to you. You can add images to change them, and which we will do later. If you remembered, or if you haven't seen, in August Game of the Month series, we created a GUI style. Well, basically, the GUI style here is all attached to this button, which makes it really easy to adjust and change things and really create unique buttons and animations and stuff with our GUI. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we have these two buttons here. I'm going to show you if you click this little arrow here in the hierarchy, you can go ahead and see text, and this is where we can actually change the text in the editor, but you can also access this and change it by script. So we're going to go ahead and just label this new game, right? And this will allow us to see it in the editor. We're going to go ahead and change our continue button to continue game, or just continue. And we're actually going to go ahead and add another button. I'm going to go ahead and Control D to duplicate. Going to move it down. And I'm going to go ahead and change the text, and this is going to be exit game. Just like that, okay? So we have our three options here. I'm going to change this to exit game, or exit, yeah, game button. Okay. And let's play around over here with our X and Y coordinates. I kind of like, I'm going to shift this up to 1. That's not even that many. We'll go ahead and shift it to 20. I'm going to shift the continue button up to probably -10. Let's see, I'm just playing around, -30. Just playing around getting some spacing, and then we'll go set -50. Oh, it's at -30, -80. There we go. Okay. So again, if I adjust the screen size, these will stay in the middle because we have them anchored towards the middle. There's a couple things you can do. So let's say we like the spacing with these when it's like this, but when we expand it, we want these to move down and spread apart. What you can do is go ahead and anchor these differently. So if we anchor our new button, which is our top button, towards the top, we can go ahead and do center top like that. We can go ahead and change the continue button to the center, and then we can change the exit game button down to the anchor of this bottom center, right? So you see this little, might be hard on YouTube, but basically there's like this little point here that sets it to the bottom center. And so now when I change it, let's see, you can see that when it gets super close together, that seems like it's wrong actually. Haha. Let's see, exit game. I wonder why I did that. We're anchoring it towards the bottom. Oh, so I think we want to anchor this towards the top actually. No, that's not right. Yeah, we'll go ahead and anchor them all towards the top. These anchors I'm not too good about actually. It just takes a little bit to play around with, but that's why we're learning. So definitely we're gonna center them all back. I would suggest playing around with them. Might be the stretch ones. What I guess I don't understand is what happened to this button. Why did all of our positions changed? That's what's bothering me. So like, okay, so we are going to mess around with these because something happened to all of our buttons and I screwed it up. So we're going to anchor this thing towards the middle. We're going to continue our button in the middle and our new button in the middle. So there we go. That's what we want. Okay. So sorry about that. Don't worry about anything I just did. Okay. But see, so now what we want to do is I'm going to go ahead and press play, and you're going to see that these change, these highlight. Oh, here we go. So you can see that these are actually changing. They're highlighting. It's very subtle, but that's like, but this is the new basic Unity to show you that you're over a button, right? So what we want to do is go ahead and when we click something on here, we want to make sure that it knows to run a certain function, right? So what we're going to do is go ahead and drag our new main menu GUI script to the canvas here, and we're actually going to go ahead and call this main menu. And you can see in the hierarchy when I have it selected, you can see that we have this main menu GUI script here. The script is available, and now we can access it within our button components. So if you look down in main menu, I clicked on the new game button. You see this on click function here, and it says the list is empty. So what we're going to do is go ahead and click the add to list button. And the game object in this case is going to be our main menu canvas up here, and we're going to go ahead and drag that to our main menu. And the function is going to be our main menu GUI, which is this is the script. And now you can go ahead and see that our public functions are in there. And you see on new game button. I'm going to go ahead and click that. So basically what happens is when I click the new game button, this function is going to be called in our main menu GUI on game button function, right? And to prove this to you, I'm going to go ahead and click back into MonoDevelop in our main menu GUI script. In our new game button, I'm going to go ahead and add a debug.log statement, and it's just going to be new game button clicked. Right? So this is going to show us that our new button is clicked. I'm going to go ahead and add a debug statement under our continue button, and instead of new game we're going to say continue button is clicked. Right? So I'm going to control to save once you have added these debug statements. Let me zoom in to make sure you guys can see it. We have this public void on new game button function and public void on continue button, and we've added 2 debug statements so we can see that they're being clicked. I'm going to go ahead and control us, go back into Unity, and you'll see this function is still being called. I'm going to go ahead and press play. And once this gets going, I'm going to go ahead and load up the console up here, and going to clear. And when I click new game, you're going to see that we click the new game button. Now when I click continue, nothing's happening because we haven't actually called the function in the hierarchy. So if you go ahead and click our continue button, you'll see that we can add a list. So we're going to go ahead and add a list. We're going to add a game object, with in this case the main menu game object. The function here is going to be our main menu GUI function, and this is our continue button, so we're going to go ahead and click the on continue button. Now when I go ahead and press play, I'm going to clear these. You're going to see when I click the new game, you see that we clicked it, continue. So you see that we're actually accessing these functions, and what we're going to do in the next video is add functionality to these buttons. So instead of just doing debug, we're actually going to go ahead and delete all of our save data, create new save data. Actually, we'll go ahead and add that, create new save data. So we'll go ahead, in the next video, we're going to add some functionality to these buttons, and then we'll go ahead and create our evidence based item, basically, that we can store, and we'll probably start creating an inventory that we can store these items in. But anyways, this is the September game of the month. Please comment and like, subscribe. Write down your opinions. Tell me if you like it. Tell me if you hate it. Give me your thoughts. But again, please like, subscribe, comment. You can follow me on Twitch, Twitter, or Facebook. I try to post there and let you guys know what I'm up to. Until then, I'll see you guys next time.